Good afternoon and welcome to my podcast. I wanted to just share some personal stories, really, and this is a personal piece. Um, I have been sort of thinking about how to put this, and I wanted to just share a couple of things that shaped my life, and I just wondered if that had a resonance with anybody else. I was adopted. Um, I didn't know anything about it. I was adopted at 3 months. My birth mother was Irish, and my father was had had an affair with my mother, and I think he was married at the time. So he was playing away, as it were, and he was a man who lived in the Manchester and Fylde area near Blackpool for most of his life. Um, my mother gave birth to me in Liverpool, and she gave birth in Sefton General Hospital. And I spent my first 3 months in the Salvation Army home with my mum. At some stage, around 3 months, I was taken away from my birth mother and I went to be with my adopted parents. I'll come back to that later. My adopted parents, the parents who adopted me, had quite strong beliefs. And again, I'll come back to that later. All in all, I would say that adoption is something that is a blessing, really. It is a great blessing. And I would encourage anybody who ever wants to find their birth mother or birth father, not birth father, but birth mother and bloodline father, it is a good thing. I did it when I was 19. And I would say that if you do that, please take a trusted friend or trusted relation, family member with you. I made that journey to meet my mother at 19, and I was very, very nervous at 19, traveling all the way from Liverpool to London to meet her. And those of you who know anything about adoption, please, 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 it's a lovely thing. It's a beautiful thing. Those of you who maybe are a childless couple thinking of adopting, it's a beautiful thing. But please, if you're searching for your birth mother and father, please do that with support. That's what I would say. So I was adopted at 3 months. My parents had strong beliefs. They were actually evangelical missionaries. And my early memories were going to an evangelical chapel, what we called an open brethren assembly in Liverpool. And belief and the preaching of the Bible shaped my early life. I'm a baby boomer, so I'm a person that was born from 1945 through to 65, more towards the end of that scale, by the way. So belief shaped me. The preaching of the word of God through the King James version of the Bible, the authorized version as it's called, shaped my beliefs. Also helped me with English, by the way, and I got a very good result in my O-level English literature and English language. I wanted to share something as well that I think partly as a result of maybe separation anxiety and some of the trauma of my early life. There was quite a lot of family conflict. I unhesitatingly say that the parents who adopted me, I loved them. And yet there was a lot of conflict. And I really wanted to find out who I was. And I had a lot of conflict with the father who adopted me. And I've got to say that conflict was resolved. And I thank God for that conflict resolution of that. My parents were simple folk. My dad had actually fought in World War II in the British Army, right from North Africa, right through North Africa, the end of the North Africa campaign, Sicily, Italy. He was in Montgomery's 8th Army, through into Italy, and then over into D-Day and into France and to Belgium. My mother was actually in the RAF, and it was quite interesting that she was involved in some sort of mechanical support role, and she was really treated badly by some of her male RAF colleagues. That's another story. But my parents were good folk, and the conflict that I definitely had with Dad, and it came to physical blows at one stage. I would say that those conflicts were sorted and came to a really good conclusion. And I actually moved away from Christian faith at about 16. But by the time I got to 18 or 19, I'd sort of found my faith again. I went through quite a rocky phase as a 16, 17, 18-year-old. But I found my parents, as it were, again. I did eventually trace my birth mother. It wasn't an easy journey, and I'll talk about that again if anybody who's listening to this wants me to. What did I do? Well, I did a little bit of youth work in Liverpool. It was a great opportunity, and I went to Scouts. I was in Crusaders, which was like a Christian youth organisation at the time. It's now changed its name to Urban Saints. I actually spent a little bit of time in Merseyside Police, in the what they called then, it was called F Division, Toxteth, just for several years, and that was in a time when Toxteth was going through quite a lot of problems, and that was a real enriching experience. I also managed to, I didn't try very hard at school, so I managed to get into college by the skin of my teeth, and I then worked very, very hard, and I got what they call, I think they still do it, it's a Bachelor of Education degree with distinctions. What I would also say that it's great having those achievements, but they came at a certain cost. One of my first jobs, actually, just before I went away to college in the late 1970s, was at a community called the Bryn Allen community. And the Bryn Allen community became notorious because the man who ran it, John Allen, he was actually found and sentenced to child abuse. And one of the, if you like, looking back on it, one of the shaping factors in my life, I only worked there for 10 months as a residential child care worker. One of the shaping factors in my life was when I found out that this man, John Allen, I would like to call him the Beast of Wrexham, North Wales, he had abused his favourites. One of the main matron of the establishment said, "Oh, John has his favourites." I didn't realise anything bad was going on, but he was actually abusing 16, 17, 18-year-old young men. And that came out in the court case. If you want to find out about that, look up the name John Allen, North Wales child abuser. I think he's still, and I'm speaking it to you in summer of 2025, I think he's still in Her Majesty's prison, and deservedly so. And that was quite a shaping experience in my life, especially looking back at it. I only worked for the Bryn Allen community for 10 months, but my word, it was before I went to college, and it was a very shaping experience. I also met a friend in Liverpool who had quite a profound effect on me, and he opened my mind up to alternative views, if you like. He was from Northern Ireland. I won't say too much about him, but he was an interesting chap. And through him, I got to know some, shall we say, less savoury characters who, not that I was mixed up in any way, shape or form with these people, but one or two of them were Protestant paramilitaries. And I got to know a couple of these guys who later served quite extensive and long prison sentences. One of the things that perhaps really shaped me, and I just wanted to leave this with you, is marriage. And I'm coming up to my 40 years married in July of 2025. And one of the things about marriage is this, and I can speak with a degree of authority there. Married nearly 40 years, which for a lot of people is quite an achievement. It is about give and take, keeping short accounts, saying sorry. And I suppose in any relationship, any important relationship, it's about keeping short accounts, giving and taking, and building up those relationships are so very important. So a happy marriage, a strong faith. I still have a very, very strong faith. I believe that Jesus Christ is Lord and Saviour of my life. I don't have any hesitation in saying that. I have a strong Christian faith. And I suppose in the parlance of the day, I am a born again Christian, and I am happy to share that faith with anybody and everybody who wishes to know about it. I don't labour it. I pick my moments, and I'm happy to share that in any more depth. So when I was married back 40 years ago, 1985, by God's blessing, I had 3 lovely children, brought them up with my dear lovely wife. I cut a long story short because I haven't gone into any of my subsequent career. I've mentioned some of my early life, but I was very fortunate to go into teaching. I did a bit of youth work as well. I also did a bit of what they call business management. I became what they call a business change manager, and that was very, very interesting. I studied up to MA level, and again, that was something that was particularly useful to me. I managed to lecture at university down here on the south coast, and lectured at both Portsmouth University for a short while, and also at Chichester University. And I really enjoyed the process of education and debate and so on, and that was a very important part of my life. Although it wasn't a very long period, I only did a year or two lecturing in Bachelor of Arts students, Bachelor of Art honours students. But that was something that was great, especially, I don't know if anybody can identify with this, not having really worked hard at my O levels, as they were then called, GCSEs today, or my A levels. I mucked around a little bit too much, but going back, I really put 100% into my academic work. I'm not an academic, by the way, but I really enjoyed learning, and one of my passions is history. I'm going to leave it there because I didn't want to make this too long. I'm going on into, where are we, nearly 13 minutes, and I wanted to just give you a bit of a flavour of who I am and where I'm coming from. And because I'm doing this, I've got nearly 500 subscribers now. So thank you for subscribing, and may God bless you in your journey, and may he shine brightly upon you. God bless you. Thank you.